Brothers Talking is made possible with the financial support of Goodwill Industries of Southeastern Wisconsin and Metropolitan Chicago, and generous Chicagoans like you.
Hello, I am Dr. Obari Cartman. Welcome to Brothers Talking, a monthly program that will bring a cross-generational group of black men together, creating a safe and brave space for honest and vulnerable discussion about the challenges and opportunities and fears and strengths of black men. The goal of Brothers Talking is to amplify and explore the lived experiences of black men, the pain, joy, success, failure, and the resulting pathways for growth and self-discovery. Before we dive into updates on personal goals, let me quickly reintroduce the brothers taking this 10-month journey together. Brother Jordan Sorrell, Daniel Ash, Wallace Gator Bradley, Reggie Edwards, and Benji Junius. During our premiere episode, each of the brothers shared a personal goal they are working on towards our 10 months together, a goal for which they will lean into the other brothers for encouragement and support. Brothers, it's time for the updates. We'll start with Brother Gator, since we missed you last month.
Yeah, man, you know, I had a death in the family. You know, I
no,
had one of them cousins that's really like a brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it took me another way.
I understand.
But in the interim, remember I was saying my goal was that
Community law.
to
Yeah,
help
I
stop
remember
the
that.
senseless violence. Community law being zero tolerance for violence, senseless violence,
Yeah.
inclusive of domestic violence, shootings and killings, and zero tolerance for the abuse of women and children, zero tolerance for the robbing and the abuse of our elders and seniors.
Yeah.
Well, I just come back from Washington, D.C., the Congressional Black Caucus.
Nice.
And it was conversation around community law. Because your community law bring everyone in, the church, the alpha, the deltas, everybody come in, and law enforcement come in and play their part. Since then, I spoke about a lot on my show. I even met with the deputy mayor that's over community safety. It used to be called public safety. So community law, community safety. So everyone is coming in sync with it. So I'm about 80% to the goal. When you hear the mayor mention community law, when you hear Father Fager mention community law, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
100%
our
means
friend Otis.
100% means more people are using that phrase.
Using that phrase because there's power in words.
I got it.
You know, speaking into existence.
Yeah.
We need to let individuals know that you can't kill a child or kill a baby or kill somebody coming out of a funeral or anything you can have back in the community. So
How you help somebody that hears law and hears law and order, or hears zero tolerance and hears lock them up, throw them away? How's community law different from just
community law is that there's consequences for one's actions.
Yeah.
Okay, I read in the paper where 13-year-old has a mask and he got the gun. Okay, and he coming to grab somebody's car, but the older gentleman catch him. And then his 13-year-old take the mask off and say, "Hey man, I'm just 13." He's like, "Dude, when you had the mask on, you got the ups on me, you would have shot me." You know what I mean? The thing is, they come back and they have within our community, because we always try to find excuses. But an individual, and I'm speaking as a former criminal, you know what I mean? I got a pardon and all that, but still there was consequences, you know, for one's actions, you know. And we got to let them know, because what I noticed at the Black Caucus this time was another generation of new leadership that's coming in, because, you know, you got Danny, that's Eddie Maxine, that's getting old, Clive Bourne, that's getting old, and they setting tones for individuals to know you got to be accountable. We can't keep saying, it's the white man, it's this. No, dude, you know what I mean? You just can't jump on nobody's car. You know, so it's working. They need to know, in my opinion, that you got to be held accountable for your actions. Everybody do. Don't wait till you, see, I went from the Audi home to the county jail to the penitentiary before it dawned on me, like, dude, you got to find a new way of life or you're going to end up doing life.
Yeah, nice. Cool. 80%. Who can be 80% towards their goal? 80s to beat. 80s to beat.
I
Who
saw
else?
the show the other day. Okay.
Who else got
That was a good
updates?
show.
Check in. Any progress or regress?
Yeah, so I have some progress. So my goal is to start a podcast.
Right.
So two things have happened. So one, I haven't made as much progress as last time. One of my guys was in London, so I'm connected with him. But the thing I'm finding interesting is I'm starting to be invited to spaces where people are like doing conversations like this. I just got a call on Friday about another similar setting in like November.
Yeah.
So, as things may not be progressing like I want them to, it's interesting how things are starting to line up.
Just because you put it out there.
Put it out there,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
So,
that's
sometimes it's got to take the small steps. And
Yeah.
I'm appreciating that part more than anything.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Who else? Updates?
Yeah. So my initial goal was to write, produce, and put on a play.
Yes.
And so I was not making as much progress as I wanted to make. And so, automatically I'm like, okay, well, let's just scratch that and let's do something different. And so I actually came to share a new goal. But then after a recent conversation, I just reimagined the goal. And so instead of writing and producing a play within the time frame that we have, I want to identify a play because there's so many stories that are still untold and there are so many pieces that just rarely get done. And so I want to identify that play and then have a staged reading of that play.
Oh, that counts.
And because initially, I'm thinking put on a play, lights, the choreography,
That's right,
the composers, I want the works.
Yeah.
But reimagining it that way is something I'm actually very excited about. And so I'm looking forward to kind of taking steps toward that, on that journey. And by the time frame, having something beautiful to share.
Love it.
Yeah.
I consider reimagining and clarifying the goal progress. Right? I think that counts.
Okay, I'll take that.
No,
I'll take that.
I want to join the cast.
So you got to sit and read. I say,
I mean, it's very powerful when you do, stage readings and.
Because you got to imagine, you got to use your own,
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, we used to produce a show called Stories on Stage at WBZ, and some of the most powerful storytelling. So people were on book, like reading stories and reading plays. Very powerful.
Nice.
So my just as a reminder, my goal was to write a charter for this new stage of life that I'm in as an empty nester. And I feel that I'm on the eve of a major step in that direction. I'm taking a major trip to Jerusalem, and I will have a significant amount of time for sort of deep reflection. So today I was organizing all my journals and whatnot, making sure I had all my pens because I'm old school. I'm going to be writing. But I feel like having space, particularly in part of the world like that, will provide some of the clarity I need to put pen to paper and start sort of mapping this out. Yeah.
So we're calling it a pilgrimage. It's not a trip. We can call it a pilgrimage.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You're gonna enjoy that, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
As far as my goal, I'm doing well. My goal was to meditate every day. I have not done that, but what I have done is, like I said last month, was to make sure I do my check-ins with myself, to make sure, to see how I'm doing and to see what's needed from me and how my day went and how productive was I in my day or how unproductive and was it valuable to me as a person. And that I've been doing well with that, so I'm proud of that.
So your goal is to add a thing to a schedule, right? Adding
Correct.
meditation.
Correct.
I'm wondering if, as you've assessed over the last month of not doing that, if there's something in the way of doing that. And so part of the progress could be to remove the obstacle, remove the barrier to the meditation. What would that be in the morning? What's getting in the way of you doing that in the morning?
What's getting in the way of me doing my meditation? me feeling like I don't need to do it and creating excuses for me not to do it. But I also check in with myself, and I do feel like I'm doing well, and not saying I just have to meditate when I'm doing well or not doing well, but I think my check-ins for me are just more valuable than my meditations at this point.
But you don't consider the check-ins a meditation? Like you don't ask a question and then sit and listen?
Yeah,
to
but
your
you know
body?
what I really want to do with my meditation is really just sit in the room with silence.
Yeah.
But I get in the shower because I'm running late to my computer, even though I work from home. I'm running late. I'm running late to my computer to check in and everything and start work. But I really wanted to actually just sit down and sit in silence for like 30 minutes at least. But I realized also sometimes sitting in silence is sometimes hard for me. So that's I'm still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I call progress all around.
Yeah.
What's your goal?
You still winning. Mine was exercise. I have not exercised at all since we talked about it last. You gave me the app. I didn't even look into it. For me, I think it's like you, just prioritizing it. I always give myself excuses in my mind. Once I clear out things, then I'll have time. But like time for my body is crazy. Yeah. And so I just need to. These are good reminders for me. I don't want to keep coming here and saying I didn't do it either. So next month, next time you see me, I'm gonna be slimmer like you. 10 pounds less.
At Goodwill, we transform lives through the power of work. We believe work is at the heart of human potential. Through a bold mission of connecting people to work, preparing people for life, Goodwill Industries of southeastern Wisconsin and metropolitan Chicago is creating meaningful impact in the communities where we live, work, and serve. By eliminating barriers, we are making fulfilling work available to all so that individuals and communities can thrive. Go to goodwillsew.com to learn how to have the power to support our mission.
Okay, so today's topic is Black men and sexuality. For centuries, the Black community has faced marginalization, discrimination, and blatant hatred as a result of deep systemic racism that runs rampant in society. Despite this, the Black community is collectively strong and has remained resilient through centuries of enslavement and ongoing discrimination following emancipation, the racist turmoils of the American prison system, and police brutality. And while the Black community has mainly progressive views as a collective, homophobia is still impeding further progress. Many Black LGBTQ+ individuals are oftentimes forced to choose between identifying with either their Blackness or their sexual orientation. It is a harmful failure of some members of the Black community to not recognize that intersectionality warrants an individual's right to exist freely and wholly within both their race and sexual orientation. It unfairly rejects an entire sector of the community. Religion has played a massive role in homophobia, still having a part in the Black diaspora. The theologically driven anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric in white churches is also heavy in the Black church. Significant portions of the Black diaspora hold the Black church as a central part of their community, no matter where they're placed in the world. Some Black scholars suggest that homophobia in the Black community stems from a psychocultural fear of sexuality as a response to the history of exploitation of Black sexuality during slavery by their white so-called masters. Expressions of the stereotypes developed during slavery are still alive in modern society, such as the Jezebel, the Mammy, and the hypersexual Mandingo Black man, the Buck. In fear of confirming these stereotypes in the eyes of white society, addressing sexuality has become widely taboo, and in doing so, homosexuality is oftentimes viewed, particularly by older generations, as a phase in one's life, or fad, or a result of calculated mass media agenda to destroy the fabric of the Black family. Brothers, lots to talk about. Let's get into it. We're assuming good intentions today. We are digging into curiosity and discovery, and this isn't a place for debate or right or wrong, but we just want to learn from each other, right? Lots of different experiences in the room, different generations in the room, a hot topic, one that can sometimes be divisive, but not today. And that's really the scariest part about talking about the real stuff, is that people are so quick to throw folks away. Don't talk to my grandmama no more because she said something I like. So we want to just ease some of that tension and give people an opportunity to see what it's like for brothers to agree, disagree, share, you know, but with the intention of understanding. All right, we all have different walks, different views, and we often talk about sexuality in a way that's, you know, in the manly way. It's always about conquest and conquering, lying oftentimes, but we don't really get to talk authentically about like what experiences we had and how they shaped us. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. I've covered a lot in the intro, in the monologue. Anything stand out to anyone as particularly jarring or felt particularly passionate about that we're gonna start with?
Well, me,
Yes.
sexuality. You know, my mother was a madam.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Go right to it. Let's go.
So I'm seeing everything and all
Yeah.
things. You know.
You have memories of being young and knowing?
Oh, ain't no question.
Wow.
You know, what may have been sexual abuse to someone, it was a growing experience where a woman was teaching me how to respect a woman. How I see it. You know what I mean?
You still see it the same way?
Ain't no question.
Okay.
You know,
You didn't grow up older and be like, some of the stuff I did when I was a kid were inappropriate for my age, and maybe I wish they didn't happen, or
no.
it shaped me in a way that was damaging?
No,
Nice.
I didn't. Because, in my opinion, a male can't really teach a male how to appreciate a woman,
Interesting.
because the male figure only see the woman as an object. That's what I learned from a woman. You know what I mean? And so it made it where I was able to teach that to my son as well as teach that to my daughter. You know, when she had questions, hey, Dad, you know, what you think about this guy? Well, first thing I want to do is just tell him, one thing I ain't gonna tolerate you putting your hands on it.
For sure.
On her, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And that's come from me learning through a woman, you know what I mean? And then family-wise, with everybody have questions about the homosexuality and all that type of stuff, you know what I mean? I was able to learn that an individual ought to have a right to be whom they feel they should be, and to love whom they feel they should love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't knock them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just love the women, but I also love going to church. You know what I mean? And
Did you see that as a conflict? That the church was telling you things different than what
yeah,
you...
because I'm like this. They take it and they sometimes speak on it like it's a mortal sin.
Yeah, for sure.
But then their best sound director to make their church flow to the point that it makes the pan go around 3 times.
What's that?
They all right. Right, they gay, they all right. You know what I mean? And the way the things are now, even to the point where we're seeing couples, be it men with men or women with women, how they able to adopt children, and to an individual have a problem with that. And I'm like this, the way society is, you gotta be careful how you down someone, because you can rest assured, in the kitchen you don't know who the cook is, okay? And you don't know how the waiter or the waitress at the bar is, and you get to talking crazy and you end up getting one of them drinks and you walk into a wall, you know? So I'm just glad you brought that up, because that's something that everyone got to be cognizant of.
Yeah.
Is respecting individuals how they feel.
Yeah.
I've learned that when I hear individuals saying that that's their life, they was born not into it, they just felt that they weren't that person, you know what I mean? Okay, I know a lot of guys do push-ups, be big and everything else because they feel they had to be big, but they knew that their sexuality was another piece of them. They just got the muscles to knock an individual down, you know what I mean?
No, I love hearing that from somebody from your generation. I just
Right.
feel like that's really
Well, you know,
open. Yeah.
there's one in every family.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Okay. And the thing is, like I had a brother. Okay. He had got a sex change way back then. I didn't realize the complication of what he had to go through. I just knew that I heard him check a lot of individuals. Hey, I'm trying to be a lady, but you stepped to me the wrong way. I'm gonna kick these heels off and get off into your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't even see him as being less of a man. That was just his way of life. You know what I mean? You
That's
know,
dope.
and I tell everybody, they be like, man, Gator, man, look, his name was Aaron, so he put a strong SH in front of the name. You know, Sharon to silence the Aaron. You know what I mean? And even with, we was talking earlier, where even during the civil rights movement, it was a lot of guys and individuals would say they was homosexual or gay or whatever they want to call it. You know what I mean? It wasn't so much about the alphabets that we're seeing now. You know, you was either a gay or a punk, you know what I mean, or a homosexual. Now you got 3 different 5 with the plus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so everyone, what's the guy's name? Was it Ruskin?
Yeah, Bayard Rustin.
Right.
Yeah.
He was very instrumental to the civil rights movement.
Yeah. James Baldwin, a bunch of them,
Right.
for sure.
James Baldwin, you can name him, you know.
Love it. So I'm curious about the young piece. You started off talking about your mother,
Right.
the things you were exposed to as a
Right.
child. As you were saying, I wonder if anybody had memories of being young and maybe exposed to images, ideas, versions of sex that you thought maybe you weren't ready for, or shaped you in a way that maybe was, I don't know, jarring.
I definitely experienced things as a young person, not in a brothel, but in the neighborhood. That as I got older, I realized that it created a lot of developmental challenges for me that I didn't even acknowledge. But before I go there, I do want to big picture just acknowledge this. I think that there's been a multi-generational struggle for the Black family.
Okay, sure.
For what I would deem as sort of like respectability. And I think the journey for the Black family to be seen as respectable, stand-up family, I think it repressed dialogue on sexuality, be it straight, queer, or otherwise. And I think that it's the respectability sort of politics or the aspect of the movement really put a kibosh on healthy dialogue around sex.
Yeah.
And so now bridging back to my own personal story.
I'm sorry, I got to pause there now. Where you see us now, do you see it on the other end of that spectrum where there's so much freedom of expression in a good way, or is it like?
Doc, that's a good point. I think to some extent there's like I sometimes marvel at some of my younger friends' openness about their ability to talk about who they are openly, talk about their desires, their interests, their concerns, their challenges. So I actually think there are movements out there that blow my mind, and actually I totally admire.
You still cringe a little bit sometimes?
No, I don't cringe, but I actually think when I think about sort of like what queer movement has done, I think it's sort of been on the leading edge of actually creating space for our community to have this conversation. But I don't think a lot of straight Black men, quite frankly, have responded to the call or to the opportunity to talk openly about sexuality. I know Xavier's not here today, but he and I had a long conversation about this issue recently, and we're just not conditioned to talk about it. But I think we need to, right? I think about my goal, right? Being an aging man, empty nester, me and my wife. It's like, It's like, baby, what are we gonna do for the next 25 years, right? And we don't talk about erotica in the way that I think we should as a community. But I think one reason
pleasure. We don't talk about pleasure either, right?
Yeah, or, just
it's just like doing it,
joy.
but like not like the full body intimacy of it.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's not just like about sex. It's about it is about intimacy. It is about pleasure. It is about joy. Yeah. It is about the body and being comfortable with our black bodies, right? Yeah. And all aspects of it. Like, I don't think we were taught to openly embrace it and love it.
And it being
anybody
natural.
look at their body naked and just revel in it, enjoy it, and savor it? Anybody comfortable doing that?
I love.
I see women doing
that. I don't mind being naked. Yeah. I'll go to the nude beach in a minute.
Really? I've never been to. I don't know that I could do a nude beach.
I think that we over sexualize our bodies, and that causes a lot of concern in the world, not just in our community, but in the world. Yeah.
Interesting. Can y'all everybody can go to a nude beach? Am I the only one that would not? No.
I've never been to
one. What's the beach, man?
Baba, he said, "You been to the nude beach?" Huh?
I don't know which one he got favorites. I love it. I love it. You gonna say something else?
But I also look at the body as an art. I love all different body types. Anybody who feels comfortable in their skin and they're able to express it, I think it's beautiful.
So to me, to that point, when I think about sexuality, I think about identity first and foremost.
Okay.
And I'll speak as one black male, and I identify as cisgender, or some people say straight. I'm curious if we're struggling to know who we are. You know, because if we know who we are, for instance, you have like a certain level of confidence, that will go into other parts of who you are. Your body is a huge part of your identity. And we never really taught how to really lean into that part, right? Because we always repressed in some way. We couldn't go too far, you know. If we were seen as going too far sexually, we were cascaded a stereotype. So we repressed a lot of what our identities were, starting as young. I knew growing up on the South Side, I saw that a lot. And people then, as we got older, started, I won't say acting out, started expressing themselves much differently as they got older, you know. And or didn't know how to have words to say, well, this is how I'm feeling. Maybe I feel like I'm more fluid in my identity, in my body. Maybe I'm more fluid in how I look at how I've identified having interactions with male, females, or people that are gender identified, things like that. And or I may have different experiences, even sexually, right? And so, you know, I've seen that struggle, and I think it just struggles around the culture in general, because I think we just haven't really had a full and honest conversation about not only about our bodies, but who we are as individuals, but then how do we then, you know, cascade that into a larger picture, not only within the black community, but in others as well too. But last thing I'll say is I don't think we've been given permission to do so. I remember I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. She was gender fluid until she got married. She was able to express her body, her identity, all these things freely and openly. I told her I couldn't do that necessarily in my position and what I was doing. You know, like, I could really cost my career and other stuff. Interesting. So, you know, some of it, I won't say it was repressed, but it was just a recognition that because of, she was, you know, a white woman and stuff like that, she could do things or express her body and stuff like that in a different way. And even her identity, I couldn't do that necessarily. My friends couldn't do that. Because if not, you know, we're being looked at and judged in a certain way that could really put a lot of things at stake. So we're protecting ourselves first and foremost. Think about all the other stuff secondarily.
Identity is important.
Right.
Anybody feel that pressure? I mentioned mandingo, right? Anybody feel the pressure that as a black man, we're supposed to have a big penis and have a lot of, you know, partners, and our identity as men were defined by that? Was that a part of anybody's growing up? Just the sense that you're not a man until, right? Part of the rite of passage is to have sex early, have it well, have a lot of partners. And I don't know if that's true, men and women. I don't know. You know, I'm just curious about like the identity piece of that. Anybody, when you heard the buck, right? This idea that part of the trauma was us being shaped by our ability to reproduce.
You know, I think about that kind of often when I have little cousins and little nieces and little nephews, and I try to always be cautious about my language with them. Like when my little nephews were maybe 3 or 4, sometimes I would hear people, and sometimes I would make comments. Oh, you got a little girlfriend? Kindergarten. Oh, you got a little girlfriend yet? Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That shouldn't even be a conversation for a kindergarten. But
Yeah.
I realized I had to really re-educate and rewire my brain when I
Yeah.
was saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then with my nieces, I'd be like, man, you better not have no little boyfriend or whatever the case may be. And I realized, like, wow, or like I see older women calling little boys their boyfriends, and it's just kind of gives me like a ick feeling. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To call a little boy sexy, but then if a man does it, call a little girl sexy. It's just a lot that kind of goes into it.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's real. I remembering a comment you made. You've been quiet. I noticed that. But I also remember. Sorry, I'm put you on the spot. Okay. I remember you said that you avoided being in spaces with black men, and I wondered if there are certain things that you experience or ways, maybe even in this conversation that have happened already, there were like triggers to be like, oh, that's why, because men either do things or say things without even thinking about it that are offensive or down-putting or whatever. I remember as you guys talking, it brought more attention to you because of your silence.
Yeah, I think that this moment is a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Because as I've mentioned, I usually avoid this.
Right.
I avoid men, and I avoid these conversations with men. Because it's exhausting to have these conversations, and fortunately, it's refreshing to hear some of these perspectives that have been brought to the tape, that have been brought to the center, the carpet. So it is refreshing.
Yeah.
But in all transparency, it's like my palms are sweating. I am just on edge because I don't know, what's going to be said or what the experiences are. And I think that it is refreshing, and I'm happy to hear those different perspectives. But I'm on edge. And I'm really, it's a challenge to sit among these gentlemen and talk about something like this, right? Where this requires a lot of vulnerability, and there's a lot of shame attached to what we're talking about. The various things we've already covered. There's a lot of shame attached to it, and and I really don't know, when that ends. So as I hear about, childhood experiences, I'm like stuck because of. I guess I'm fighting okay, what do you keep in the house? And just in the history of black families, what do you sweep under the rug and pretend like it didn't happen? And so this moment is hard, and it's harder than I thought it was gonna be, because I think about like my childhood, right, and being exposed to images and acts and language. And I didn't realize anything was wrong with it well into late teens, early 20s. At the time, it was something that was, I hesitate to use the term celebrated, but it was celebrated because that celebration or that attention got me to participate, right? And I remember coming home, and because growing up, a lot of sleepovers, everybody spent the night at everybody's house, and I remember coming home, and I remember telling actually, I did not say anything. My twin sister is the one who told my parents like what she saw happen. And I think I resented my parents for a long time because I didn't see anything happen. I didn't see, you know, a big defense happen. That's not to say maybe it didn't, but I didn't see it happen. Like no one sat with me to ask me if I was okay. And you know, and these are things again I didn't think about till later on. At the time, I'm just like, oh, this person wants to do this with me. Okay, you know, and just kind of getting, I would say, passed around. That went on for years. And so I had the mentality growing up of like, okay, you know, be the best at what you're doing, right? Be the best at what you're doing, endure. Like you're not allowed to cry while this is happening. You're not allowed to scream for help while this is happening. And so I'm oftentimes told that I'm not a very, I don't seem like an emotional person. And I don't think I ever had the opportunity to be that. You know, there was never an opportunity to be emotional. I had to endure. If no one else was going to come to my defense, you know, at the time I was an itty bitty thing, so I wasn't about to, you know, fight anybody or anything like that. I just found the peace in what was there and pushed forward. And that impacted how I engaged men moving forward. You know, that impacted my relationships and situationships and all of that. And it's the scariest thing to even say now, because that's not a conversation I've had with my family. You know, I've not talked to my family about what that looks like. And so to hear, you know, the liberty, I know now that there is beauty, right? There is beauty in intimacy, and that there are different forms of intimacy to celebrate. But it is difficult for me to talk about that beauty with other guys because who I am is who I am, but who I am has often been criticized or shamed based off mannerisms. You know, before someone knows I'm interested in men, it's like, oh, the way he talks, he must do A through Z, right? Or the way he holds his wrist, the way he speaks, the way he walks, the way he dresses. All of those things precede me before anyone knows Benjamin. And that's why I prefer the company of women. Because they can care less. Like any woman I know, I should say, have cared less. My dear friends have cared less. I am Benjamin who just so happens to be interested in men. I'm not the guy who's interested in men. Stay away. And so before someone can say stay away, I'd rather not pursue male relationships, you know, outside of romance.
Wow.
You have so much that I kind of want to touch on, but the last part was the women in my life have always been more accepting. And I just realized, like, I've always did try to stay away from more males because of my mannerisms when I was a child. I didn't even know I was gay, but I was being called gay before I even knew what gay was. I remember coming home to my mom one year. It had to be like 6th grade. I said, Mom, what's a fag? And she looked at me, her eyes opened up wide, and she said, who called you that? And at that moment, I was like, now everything started making sense. So I can relate to you in that manner. So but you brought up a lot of stuff that I kind of want to hit on, but I can't. My mind is just going all types of ways right now.
So I think what I'm hearing too is that the one thing that brings me sadness in the culture sometimes is that we haven't centered and valued each other's humanities first and foremost. You know, that we are human And that we have to celebrate that first and bring that in before all the other identities come in, you know. Because we should be able to feel safe no matter what, because we should be vulnerable because we have shared and lived experiences. But we haven't been able to do that because when somebody looks at you or has certain mannerisms, they're projecting, and it's like, well, I'm going to protect myself now. I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'm going to go back into what I feel comfortable, and I'm going to go around people that I feel are real comfortable. You know, I grew up around 4 women, you know, as well, because my father died when I was younger, and I felt comfortable for a long time because, you know, I had people that said things that were very, you know, just hurtful and traumatic. And I didn't want to feel vulnerable around other men until I got around spaces where I could and I did the work. And so I wonder if it's sometimes that do we need to really go back to the basics, you know. Let's appreciate and value each other who we are first and foremost, you know. And let's just give that space for us to be who we want to be. You know, instead of the opposite. Because I feel like we're losing so much where we're being so restricted, you know, to just the people, you know.
And then I do have a question, and I don't know if this is, but how would that conversation look with your parents? How would you like for them to have responded in that manner? Because,
I think that at the time, I wasn't looking for them to respond because at the time, I saw it as fun. It was exciting to me. It's like, oh, you know, they like me, you know, so I didn't want them to interfere because I'm like, dang, now I'm not gonna get to go spend the night anymore. And so whenever my mom said, you know, you can't have girls over, girls can't be in your room. Okay, easy, sis. Like that's not a problem for me. But the boys can always come, you know, you play video games, boys can come in your room, boys can spend the night. And you know, that was my stomping ground. But as I got older, I just really wished that whatever conversation they may or may not had, I guess I just wish they would have came and said, we took care of it. Like, you don't have to worry about that anymore. And I think that's all I needed, because not having, at the time, not feeling like I had that barrier of protection, I felt kind of lonely. And I felt by myself, and I felt like I had to fend for myself, and I felt like I had to deal with it on my own. And at the time I was already feeling shame, or like I was embarrassing my dad and all those things. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to make it worse.
I wonder if, and we kind of had this conversation before we walked up in here, and like, if we have more of those sex conversations or those body conversations when we are younger, if we can not prevent, but I don't know the proper word right now, just educate, I guess, our children about things, because we can't protect them completely from the world. But
No,
we can
can't.
educate.
So I have kids.
And
I think about at what age and in what way to introduce these topics to them. They're 8, they're 11. So when you say that, I'm like, I agree in theory, but I shield my kids from a lot of this stuff to the best I can. But you know, this technology and all that, just you know, to a certain extent we can't. What I love about the transparency and vulnerability, like I really appreciate everything that everyone's saying, but particularly for the experiences that the LGBTQ plus community is having, it's clearer to me now that there's a level of vulnerability that is leading to currently, you know, September is Suicide Prevention Month, right? The suicide numbers amongst the LGBTQ Black community are higher, right? So there's not everybody dealing with the same thing. There's particular vulnerabilities that make people particularly lonely that are having consequences because things are swept under the rug. So I just love that we're able to do this here and show people that it can happen. But at what age is a really important question for me as a father, because like, I don't know. And it's real, I don't know. I don't know at what age and in what way to talk to my kids about their bodies and pleasure and masturbation and what, you know, like, I don't know.
And little boys start masturbating at 6, 7, if that young. And I wish I would have had those conversations. Like, what is masturbation, and
with your father?
What is pleasure?
With your father?
My father wasn't around. He passed away. I don't even know who would I I've had that conversation
Like a
with.
mentor, like, you know.
And I know my mom one time she brought my uncle in to talk to me,
To have the talk.
and I'm just like, this is awkward.
Yeah.
But I did kind of appreciate that she tried to bring somebody in, but at that time I was the 8th grade and I've already had my a sexual experience in kindergarten. I look back on it, I was like, what was going through my head? What was I doing?
Right.
And that kind of scares me. At kindergarten, I was doing things sexually.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now my mind is just racing with the whole
Yeah.
I'm not sure like what a great age would be to have that conversation.
I think it starts with education.
I think it
across
does
the
start.
body.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think, but for me, you know, if somebody would have just told me that, hey, no one's supposed to touch that area, right? No one's supposed to, like, these are things that, you know, to be mindful of, be careful of. Now, will it have put a little bit of fear or curiosity in my mind? Probably, yes. But at least it probably would, you know, maybe not, it would have triggered something of like, oh, this is what mom says is not supposed to happen. But I didn't know. I didn't know what was supposed to happen.
This might be a little bit too much, but I remember my first erection. I didn't know what was happening to me. I remember when I first started growing hair down there. I'm like, is this okay? Like I'm using my sister shaving stuff to shave because I did not know. Nobody educated me.
And I'm sorry, but I think that a point is that the men in my family, for lack of a better term, I would call them womanizers. And so I knew like what the behaviors were. I didn't know what it looks like to take care of yourself, to get tested, to take care of your body. And all of those different pieces. It was always about, oh, I did this person, or, you know, it was like having the notches in your belt.
Right.
And very little educational pieces.
You know, that's why I said it was a woman. When she was older than me, she may have been about 16.
Was she also a madam?
No, my mother was a madam.
Okay.
Okay, so all that came into play because it was young hoes and old hoes. And the thing is, she taught me not to be abusive towards a woman. So yeah, that's, remember I started off.
Yeah.
Only a woman can tell a man how to treat a woman.
Yeah.
No guy's supposed to do this to you. That's what he said. If that happened to, but that was
At what age?
told to me.
So you know, I had a very similar experience of being a young teenager and having a woman, and I use the word now, it was abusive, right? I didn't use that word when I was a teenager. Matter of fact, people thought I was, quite frankly, the shit because I had,
telling me, man.
an older person who was having sex with me. One thing that I've come to realize after many, many years is that that woman definitely taught me how to be a lover. But I lost a lot of myself. I lost a hell of a lot of myself because I was taught to perform.
Right.
And it's taken me years to undo sort of that. It got me into a lot of trouble too, because you know, you said, you know, how we all of the stereotypes and all that stuff, and then you know, I was an athlete, you know, and on top of that, I was a pretty good student, and it was like that was almost like, and then there's this little talk track about, you know, about and you know, about who you are. And so I share that because I do think we need to talk about things so kids and young people can know what's right, what's wrong. I think we need those early conversations. But I also think we need them because if we allow people who may not have the best intentions, to teach us. They don't teach us to love ourselves the way we should love ourselves.
Yes.
Benji, you said something like about being, and it really like, it really hit home for me when you said about people have said to you, you can be kind of like cold, right, or like kind of just unemotional, right? I think that was I think I actually became unemotional about intimacy, about sex, about all of that, you know, pleasure, because I didn't attach myself emotionally to it.
Wow, yeah.
And so like, you know, spending time when you're 30 years old, 40 years old,
Looking back,
you know, trying to work through that, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because back to your point about identity, that becomes a part of who you are, a pleaser.
Right.
And then
Pleaser, that's
right,
a good word.
you use people's liking you to like fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
And then you kind of just walking around like just looking for somebody else to like you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, that's one thing. I think as men too, going back to that, like this, as black men, like, and I think this goes into that that Mandingo sort of like stereotype, is that it's not about pleasing yourself. We kind of like think it is, even when you're like putting the notches on the belt. I mean, it's almost about a game. It's about a pursuit.
Yeah.
It's not about, you know, like sort of a deep understanding you have within, you know.
Yeah. And we talk about the objectification of the women, and women get harmed the whole way.
Oh,
But we
yeah,
don't
for
talk
sure,
about
for
losing
sure,
yourself.
For sure.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
good. One last question, if anybody can take it, we got to wrap soon. I'm sensitive to this idea of the younger versions of us not having something that we needed, protection, encouragement. Is there anybody that can offer something that you would have wanted someone to tell your younger self, or can you do that to yourself now? Give your younger self a message that you missed, that you didn't get, and maybe that might be something that somebody else needs to hear also.
Me, myself, I used to still go see her when she was alive to say thank you. You know what I mean?
Thank
because
you.
it made me appreciate a woman pretty much like you love your mother. But you can't really love your mother until you have that woman to love. I've been my wife 41 years. You know what I mean? Married her 3 times. So I understand, I feel that, you know what I mean? So I'm able to teach my sons the right things to do. Not sexually with them, you do what you want to do with the woman that you're with. But to appreciate that woman, don't abuse that woman, because I was raised by a woman, and then their mother is a woman, and she's gonna make sure you don't do that. Because we gotta understand, women go through a whole lot.
Yeah.
Men don't go through what women go through when they bump into their uncles, because you learn a lot. You know what I mean? So she's just, did I take advantage of you? No, you made me a better man.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
And we all on that journey, trying to become better men, trying to be better, the best versions of ourselves, and tap into the humanity that sometimes was taken from us for whatever reason. So I very, very much appreciate this conversation. Thank you all again for your transparency and insights and your sharing and taking this journey.
Are you the doctor in the house?
I'm still trying to figure this shit out too, man. Once again, our time together has come to a close too quickly. Fortunately, we'll be coming back to the circle next month for another hour together in conversation and community. For those of you watching at home or work or from your favorite park bench, thank you for taking this journey with us. It is our hope that together we can support and encourage one another to give ourselves and each other the space and the grace to be and feel with the freedom we deserve to be and to feel. The physical and emotional well-being of Black men doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves, but together we're committed to doing our part to change that. Thank you for stepping into the space with an open mind and an open heart and a commitment to creating space for brothers to talk and share and learn more about themselves and each other. Until next time, Chicago, I'm Dr. Cartman, and good night. Good talk, guys.
Well, yeah.
Brother Sorrell, Jordan Sorrell, what happened on April 27, 2023?
So I remember we had set some time up just to reconnect, because we reconnect I'll say once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember we went right downtown to Remington's, right across the street from William Park.
Yeah.
I remember I was a little late. I was rushing, like, oh shoot, I'm gonna be a little late, because I got an early's on time's late. And so when we sat and we were talking about just checking in. So how are you doing? More of a heart check than anything. Yeah. And it was more about, all right, we're doing this, but what if we thought about doing this for others as well? Because there's not a lot of space for you and I mostly. We have 168 hours out of the week, and then during the week, we're just doing everything else, but having this type of conversation. So I remember that's what kind of sparked from that one conversation to now what we see is called Brothers Talking.
Yeah. And I recall at dinner, when we first met, I was at Chicago State.
Yes.
And I remember when we were first being introduced and we had our first conversation, and you were talking, and you mentioned your mother. Mm-hmm. And there was something in that connection where I'm like, this is someone who's family to me, like that connection. And then when I came here, and you and I stayed connected, and we've talked, but those dinners or lunches where we can just get together in that safe space, take off the titles and just go, how you doing? Yeah. And we did that at Remington's, and you said something I remember we were sitting there, I was probably devouring fries, and we're talking about life, and I'm telling you, trusting, being vulnerable enough to go, here's what's working, here's what's not, here's what I'm learning. And you said, hey, you know what, I've been thinking about something, this has sparked something for me. And you said, brothers, black men specifically, do not have the space to look at each other and talk and be vulnerable, and work that muscle of sharing and vulnerability, the way that you and I had done naturally, but it came through trust. Right. And we mentioned the name. I said, oh my gosh, Jordan, I've been thinking the same thing. Yep. No lie, thinking the same thing. And we started talking about what this group might look like. Yep. And we named the same person. We won't name them now. We don't want to embarrass him, but he's in this panel. Yep. And we both went, that's it. Yep. And then it became a question of finding other brothers who were in a place, whether it was 75 or 28, a place in their life where they were craving what I think we both were craving. Right.
Because a lot of times, I think particularly right now, black men are just trying to survive. Yeah. I think we talked about that. We are just trying to eat, live, and do what we need to do daily. Yeah. Vulnerability is not necessarily on the top of the list of things when you get up and you go to sleep every night. And so to have a space and to start to model what that looks like, I think is very important, because I remember we talked about it's two sides sometimes. It's the side that we can't be who we fully want to be. We only can be black so much. And then if we're being too black, we're being seen as aggressive or all these other things in certain spaces. If it's in the corporate spaces, if it's in our social spaces, things like that. So there has to be a moment where we could take the step back to do the work and to do the introspection. And that's really what this has been built for, and that's what it is for too, you know?
Yeah. Well, I have to thank you, Dr. Obari Cartman, and all of the brothers. This has been an incredible journey. You, Chicago and beyond, thank you for taking it with us. Stay on this journey. I think we are in for some incredible conversations for the rest of the first 10 episode run. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the power of community television. That's what we do every day. And Jordan, thank you, my brother, for always being a call away and always stepping into the gap. So appreciate it very much.